Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is Melanie back with Melanie Loves Death Metal, and what would my channel be if I didn't talk about the new Incantation album? It's been out for a while now. I don't know. When did this come out? Like a month ago? Something like that. Yeah, August 24th, I think. Around that time frame. It was the end of August, so it's been several weeks already, and so I'm incredibly late to talk about this. Every other YouTuber in the space has already done their review, including Marty from the Heavy Metallurgy channel. So check his review. But everybody's already talked about it, but I haven't yet. So why not, hop on the bandwagon and be late to the party? So Incantation, everybody knows this band, iconic death metal band, 13th full length album, Unholy, Deification. I can't. I don't ever know how to say it. Out on Relapse Records. I did finally get it in. I bought 2 copies of it. I got the CD and the vinyl. The CD, admittedly, was because I forgot I ordered it. I forgot I ordered it. I don't know. It came and I was like, I did order that. I also got the vinyl. So I have 2 copies of it, which is totally fine because most of my Incantation, if not all of my Incantation albums that I own, which is every single one of them, is on CD in my collection, but I'm slowly starting to buy the vinyl as they get reissued, which again, Relapse, it's reissue season, as I've been saying for several months now. They're re-releasing a lot of them, and I'm snagging them as I'm able to. So I'll show off a couple of those after I talk about this album. But yeah, so here's the record. I waited a while before I pre-ordered the vinyl, so I got a little bit later than most people. I got the custom Galaxy edition, which was limited to 1,000 copies. There was a bunch of other color copies of this, including a picture disc. The picture disc was tempting. I almost got it, and I told myself, I'm not going to do that. I'll just get the normal color, whatever. So, amazing album artwork by a guy. I know his last name is Cantor. I don't think I can ever say his first name, so I'll pop it right here. Yep, there you go. I love this album artwork, and I think after listening to this several times, this album artwork pretty much speaks volumes of the type of music that you're going to be listening to for this album. Here's the back. Again, huge fan of this artwork on the back. This is a really nice jacket. Relapse did the whole glossy vibe for the logo and stuff on the back. I can't really see it on the camera, but you can definitely feel it and see it in person. So that was a nice little touch. Here's the printed inner sheet of the the lyrics, and some more awesome occult imagery, which is essentially the theme around this album that I was reading. And then there's a picture of the guys, and then some thank you notes and some more lyrics and credits and stuff like that. And then the vinyl itself, I know you junkies want to see what it looks like. I think it goes really well with the album cover. I was happy that I picked this color. There was a couple of other ones that were pretty cool looking, but there, yeah, and that pops out pretty well. Oh, that comes up on camera pretty well too. So, all right, so thoughts on the album. I've listened to this for several times. We got an early advanced copy of it, a promo copy that Marty was able to listen to and do his review off of. And when that was sent to us, I, obviously listened to it when that came out. And that was awful sounding. I don't know, that was the paper. Yeah, I need to change that into a plastic MoFi sleeve. But anyway, and I've listened to it a lot since then. When I first heard it, I'll be 100% honest with you, I was kind of just like, it's good, whatever. Wasn't 100% sold on it. And that's just simply because it's got a little bit more of a crunchy death metal sound, not too much, but it definitely has some, as Ken from Ken's Death Metal Crypt, he mentioned the other day, I was talking to him on Instagram, it does have a little bit of a Morbid Angel vibe from here and there on this album, which was kind of different. Not something I'm used to really hearing a whole lot on Incantation's albums. However, the whole entire theme and the vocal style and like just what this album encompasses definitely adds a layer to it and like understanding to it. It's easier to digest once you know that. So I was reading some reviews online trying to get a little bit more of a background on the album, and from what I understood, the bassist Chuck basically said he has an occult interest in it fueled the lyrical and aesthetic energy through the fully realized concept of evolution through enlightenment. In other words, it's a tale of mortal becoming a deity. So like that whole theme definitely resonates, and you can tell once you know that, especially within the lyrics, stuff like that. I absolutely love this album now. I'll be honest with you. It has grown on me a lot, and I've listened to it a lot. This is probably one of the albums that I've been really, really taking my time with, because it's one of my favorite death metal bands. I want to digest everything before I talk about the music. A lot of these reviewers, and I'm not like it's not like a shot at them or anything like that, but sometimes they'll listen to like once or twice and then they'll pop their review up. I try my best to listen to things as much as possible before I even speak on how I feel about it. Because I hear things differently after the first listen. The first listen, I try not to really go off of that much, unless it's just absolute garbage and I'm like, I'm never listening to this again, which, there are some out there that I've done that with. But for this one, I really tried my best to take my time with it. And I really like it. It's definitely the old Incantation sound. It's a little bit of a love child between some newer Incantation albums. Sect of Vile Divinities, it's definitely got still some of that sound to it, but I like this more than Sect, now that I've listened to it a lot. Sect was a great album. I think it was totally underrated in their discography. I said that in my ranking video a couple months ago. Got shit on for saying that by the people who are unhappy, miserable people. I don't know what the hell your problem is. But I am very much not one of those people that says like the first 3 or 4 albums are the best Incantation albums and nothing after that is good. I don't believe that. Like, I love Blasphemy. That's one of my favorite albums that they've released. I did really like Sect of Vile Divinities. But yes, the first ones are just so iconic. And I do love them. Obviously, I have this shirt on today because this is my favorite Incantation album. But yeah, I think it's a really good album. It's definitely got more of the Death Doom vibe as always that Incantation brings. John's voice is still really good and solid after all these years. I mean, the band's been around for 30 something years now. And he's just, he's got a great vocal delivery on this. It's got those moments in peaks and valleys where it's a little bit slower, a little bit slower pace, a little bit more of those doomy style albums, and then it comes in with that crunch that I wasn't expecting, that more crunchier sounding death metal that you don't often get on their records. But it's really good. It's a really good, thought-provoking written album, and I've seen some reviews like just straight up say like, this is the best Incantation album that they've ever done. And that's great. I'm super happy that people have that optimism and they're shouting that out there, because that'll get people to listen to it and get more exposure, which I think it definitely deserves that, because it's Incantation. Like, come on. I don't think it's their best album ever. I do think it's top 5 for me right now. It's hard to beat some of these earlier records. Like, I'm going to show you the reissues that I have for me, because those were my introduction into Incantation. So it like, there's that nostalgia vibe to it. Also, they're just so good. Like, and when you love an album, sometimes it's really hard to top it with new albums. But I will say about this band, 2023, death metal revival has been going on for years now. There's so many new bands out in the scene. The scene is getting larger. More fans are starting to come over when they hear bands like Undeath and Frozen Soul and, even 200 Stab Wounds, even though there's like that hardcore stuff going on there with that. And they're coming in, and people who probably, have never really been into the death metal music are now starting to explore the more iconic bands. So they're probably checking out bands like, Incantation and maybe even Cannibal Corpse, which was, I know it's crazy, people not knowing what Cannibal Corpse is, but that's probably what they're doing. And Death and the Obituary, all those albums. And to see that this band, who's been around for so long, who is one of the most iconic and most prolific death metal bands ever, is releasing music that is still holding weight to everything new that's been coming in, that all these new kids are listening to and praising and creating success around. Like, think about that. Like, Frozen Soul has found success. They're on Century Media now. People love them. They hype them up a lot. Same thing with Undeath. So there's these new bands. Tumult is another great example. Like, people obsess about Tumult. So, and they're bringing in new fans into the scene. So Incantation is still relevant, and that's what makes me happy. It'll be a sad day when they hang it up. I will admit, it'll be a sad day if they release another album within the next coming years and they suck because they're old and they just need to hang it up. I mean, a lot of bands, they go for a really long time and they release some stinkers for that reason. So if they were to decide for whatever reason to not do this anymore after this album, I'd be happy. I mean, they have a great discography. I think there's not a single bad album in their discography. My opinion. So chill out in the comments, because some people got really butthurt when I said that on my album ranking video, like to the point where I had to block people because they just were getting ridiculous. Like, I think this would be a good way to go out. It's a spectacular album. Is it perfect? I can't think of anything bad to say about it, to be honest with you. Maybe that it's longer. Some of the songs maybe just take a little bit more to digest in what you're listening to, maybe. But I can't really think of a bad thing to say about it. I know, like, a lot of people have been saying this is their best album ever. It's miles ahead of Dirges, which I agree. I think it's better than Sect of Vile Divinities. Somehow they're continuing to just continue to go into a peak. And they're just up there riding that elevation, and they're doing a fantastic job of it. So I think it's a good album. Too long, don't read. Too long, don't listen. I think it's a good album. I really like it. So I'm happy that they released it. It's going to be one of the best ones to come out this year. I like all the positivity that I've been seeing around it. It definitely has also that Profane Nexus vibe to it as well. But again, not my all-time favorite Incantation album, but I understand why people are saying that. And maybe my thought is maybe they're saying that because they haven't gone back and listened to the older albums in a while. And this was just so good. Old school death metal, still there. Still that old school death metal sound. They have not, their sound is not modernized. Like, there's not this overly processed digital computers. None of that. Like, there's still the filthiness to it. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody else, but I think it's a great album, and I'm happy that people are enjoying it. So, on that note, Relapse is also reissuing a lot of their albums in the discography. They've done a few already. There's a couple that I still have to get. There's, I think, there's like one or two that are up for pre-order right now. I can't remember which ones they are, but I do have them here, so I'll show them off so you can see them. And these are admittedly three of my favorite ones. One, my most favorite. So like I said, I own all of the Incantation albums on CD, but, you know, I'm a vinyl junkie, and they started reissuing these, and I didn't have to spend an arm and a leg to get them, so I'm grabbing them as I'm able to. So the first one I'll show up, and these are not in order, obviously, is Diabolical Conquest. Obviously, John is not the vocalist on this. I'm totally blanking on who it was now. Sorry. It's there. It's there. Christ. Forgot. Kyle. That's the drummer. No. Daniel. There we go. Daniel's the vocalist on here. John's still in the band. He just plays guitar. So this one, I've always preferred John's vocals in terms of Incantation, but this album is so good. It's so pulverizing and so good. So I'm glad that they had that glorious of a new vocalist, and they released an awesome album. So this is one of my favorite Incantation albums. So it's a nice reissue. And I got just the solid colors. I don't know if there was any other color pressings. Does it say? This is Aqua Blue Edition, doesn't say how many, so there's probably a ton of these out there. I'm sure you can find them probably in your local record store. So there's that one. And yes, I'm going to re-sleeve. I know a lot of people hate that on some of these videos, but at least I'm going to put the records back in the sleeves, okay? So the next one is Upon a Throne of Apocalypse. This is my all-time favorite one. My God, I love this album, and I listen to it still quite a bit. When I got this in the mail last week, I listened to it immediately. Like, I stopped what I was listening to. I immediately put it on the turntable. I was really excited to have it on vinyl finally. Man, I didn't quite realize how many bands mimic this album that are out these days. Like, it didn't really quite hit me until I was listening to this, and I was like, my God, everybody's trying to do this sound. In a lot of bands are trying to do this sound in their albums, which is not a bad thing, but Jesus, this is a perfect 10 out of 10 album for me. I love this album so much. So naturally I had to put the shirt on today. So yeah, there you go. I'm so happy that I got this. Finally on vinyl. There's the inner sheet. And I do really like the vinyl record color for this. I think it goes really, really well with the album cover. It's like this blue ice with white splatter or something like that. But it looks good, and it goes really well with the album. So this was just reissued. Diabolical was Infernal Storm, I think, is another one, which I still have to order that. Profane Nexus, I think, is up for pre-order right now. Blasphemy and Decimate and all those Hell's Headbangers, they recently reissued those. Those are still available, so I'll probably pick those up too. And then finally, the last one that I got to show off today is Onward. Everybody knows this one. This is my second copy on vinyl. The only vinyl record that I ever owned for Incantation was this album. I have a plain black one that came out 2013 or something like that. I don't know. I picked this up because that one is really beat up. The jacket corners are dinged and there's ring wear, and this is before I actually really started taking care of my records. It was one of the first like death metal albums I ever bought on vinyl records. So I picked up another one just to have an extra copy. So hey, why not? You know, it's one of the not only one of the greatest death metal albums ever made, it's worthy of having more than one copy of. Also own it on CD. So if I ever decide to sell off my vinyl records and keep my CDs, I will be happy because I will still own most of these albums. And then this is just like a trans green, whatevs, sounds fine. I don't really care about the color. Green edition. There's no numbers on it. Same thing with Ice with Splatter for Upon Throne Apocalypse. There's no like limited to, so they probably pressed a ton of these and they're probably still going to be available for a while. You might even be able to find them in record stores. I know that Vinyl Altar has them because he posted a video or reel on Instagram last week showing them off. So if you live in the Vinyl Altar realm, go pick them up. Like I said, they started reissuing other ones, and there's a pre-orders up right now. There's a couple that I still have to get. I'll probably get them when I get paid this week. This is like the next haul that I'm trying to get on vinyl record. Like I said, Hell's Headbanger still has a couple copies, couple reissues in stock for like the 3 albums that they did. So I'll pick those up too. So that's all that I have today. I'm excited. I love this album. I hope you guys enjoy it. I know a lot of people are kind of mixed on it too, so that's just like everything. And that's all I have today. I will see you guys in the next one.